Well, Lili, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
And I'm glad we're at Google. So you know about this new project, which our main goal is to empower women. So one of the things we're looking for is when we're looking at leaders, one of the things that we found is that great leaders know when and how to pivot. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things about pivoting takes place in technology, as you know. It's like one of the biggest movements. So I was very excited because I'm in technology with AAR and Associates. But I want you to tell us a little bit about your company and some of the pivots that you've done in your company. So first, tell us a little bit about Dreamers Ventures and what it's about.
So Dreamers Ventures is actually my passion project. Okay. I call it my own social enterprise because having been, an immigrant that came to this country by herself. So my entire family stayed behind in Colombia. They're all in Colombia. And I had to learn and figure out like living in America by myself. And I think when I was younger, I kind of took it for granted. But then later on, I realized how many like dumb mistakes we make along the way. And they're very innocent because you just don't have the systems to support you or to mentor you and guide you so that you avoid making these mistakes. So when it comes to
learn.
Talk about pivoting. So pivoting also comes with being surrounded by people smarter than you so they can kind of put a spotlight into the gaping hole that you're going to jump into before you get into it. Right. So in my case, that whole thing was what inspired me to create Dreamers Ventures because I said, could we put under the same roof people that I would want to be in the same roof with, but not be selfish about it, actually open it up for other entrepreneurs, investors, and experts to get to know each other. Okay. So thanks to Google and their platform Accelerate with Google, we were able to pull this off. And now we're doing it across 6 different countries, including Latin America, so that we can accelerate and help people actually find each other, and also put the pressure out of it being an investor event or a pitch event. This is very fun, it's very fluid, so that you feel okay and vulnerable, actually recognizing you may not have all the answers, but you have the people to answer them in the same room. So that's how it all came to be.
So tell me, what do you see as the number one challenge that's faced by minority entrepreneurs? What are you hearing from this?
So there's 2 data points to answer that question. So one is my own story, which I am so embarrassed to admit it, but now I proudly share it so nobody does it. So when I left my corporate job to become an entrepreneur, I was so proud, like Mujer Maravilla, Wonder Woman, that I was cashing all my stock options and using all my savings to self-fund. Dumb. So there is so much money available in the system, and that sounds weird to say, but yes, there is. Yes. And culturally, we are really, whether it's proud or fearful or both, of asking for money. So many people that you read about everywhere are getting funded with an idea on a napkin, but we think we need to have it figured out before asking for help or for money. I mean, we don't even ask money from our own friends and family. And when it comes to investment, most people tell you, start with your friends and family. Well, we don't do that. Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we make, myself included as one data point. We get less than 1% of venture capital and angel funding as Latino entrepreneurs in this country, which is really sad. So we just gotta get out of it.
We're afraid of it. And a lot of businesses start with that in mind, that they're going to get funding. That's how they start their whole business plan.
Exactly. We don't do that. We wait until like having the answers or feeling ready, and you wait so much for feeling ready that it may never come, and you like deplete your own funds in the process. So
let me ask you, do you see something unique, because this is for women, to empower women?
Yes.
So do you see some of the challenges? What challenges would you say are unique for women? Or don't you? Maybe not. Maybe
yes, I think there are. And this may get a little bit controversial, but
it's all right.
Back to the money thing. If you look at the statistics, most of the people that are the funders, VC firms, or even in the banking or financial services, or any of the angels, most of them are men.
They're men. Most of them are men.
I mean, there's a lot of women breaking through and funds that are now just by women for women, but that's a new thing. And I am telling you, if you walk into this room of guys, and I'm currently in the middle of a race myself, so I experience it firsthand. It is uncomfortable when somebody that doesn't look like you is like not in the room at all. I forget about ethnicity. I'm just saying women, period. So there's nuances and implicit bias that is there. Like if you're a young woman, they may be wondering, gee, is she married? Is she gonna get married? Is she gonna have babies? Do I give her money because she may get pregnant?
For my investment,
right? Yeah. So it's all this stuff that is kind of untold, but you can feel it.
It's a ceiling that's there that a lot of us don't talk about. So now you deal with data and information, right? What would you advise? What kind of data should they look for if you're trying to make a critical decision with your business? What would be one recommendation?
Oh my goodness. You know, we live in the era of Google, where you Google everything and the excuses are out the window when like data is not for the privilege or for the financial analyst in Wall Street. You can have it if you have a phone at your fingertips. So
available to all of us.
I am a geek of data, so everything. You should not make a financial decision without knowing the implications on cash flow or what that really means beyond today's moment in time. You shouldn't make a decision about a market or a product that you want to go into without doing the homework about what else is out there and benchmark it or how big is the market.
Even if you're passionate, I always tell people, because people talk about follow your passion, well that's okay, but do some research before you do that as well. So that you're following your passion, but you're doing it in a logical, successful way, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I would love for you to share one of your biggest pivots, the most difficult pivot that you've had to make.
I love that question.
Yeah, so
I love that question.
And how you did it successfully.
Yeah, so it used to be, my pivot moment used to be when I was debating whether to stay in my big corporate job or not and become an entrepreneur. But that's no longer it. That's like a boring pivot by now. Here is the juicy one. So about 2.5 years ago, in one phone call, I lost almost 40% of my revenues. And it was because one of my clients actually went through a merger, so it wasn't like we got fired. And through that merger, we were collateral damage of that. Like literally Wall Street Journal cover, there's the story where like, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose that client. So when that happened, I got really mad for like a second, and then I said, what do we do with this? And that was what gave birth to our big data analytics practice. I said, I can continue to sell a service or actually productize the intelligence that we sell to our clients and evolve into being a tech-enabled product.
Okay.
So if I hadn't lost that client, Culture Intel, which is the fastest growing and most innovative, and now we're winning all these awards side of my business, would have never come to me. Because we were comfortable with the billings, with the SOW, with the fees that we were getting with this big fat assignment and client, but when it was gone, it's like innovate or die. So that definitely was my biggest pivotal moment, and I hope everybody can see that a setback can be a setup if you look at it through that lens, and that's what happened to us.
And sometimes you have to look at it from a different perspective. So you've got something in front of you, and usually entrepreneurs, successful ones, don't take a long time at looking at failures. They jump in how to make it a success, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad, thank you for sharing that. I had a moment like that in my life.
Isn't it crazy?
But it was the best. It forced me to do something that I was planning on doing for a long time, and forced me to get into a very successful position. So one last comment for our pivoting in heels, and then we are going to ask you to do a little pivot for us.
Oh, I love it. Well, I was just going to praise you for the name, because yes, don't lose how feminine and beautiful you are, but how strong that can be as well. And it is lethal when you walk in with those fierce stilettos and the confidence and brains to go with it. You'll be invincible.
Well, you're fierce. And thank you so much for the interview, and thank you for the work that you're doing. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
keep pivoting in heels.
Ciao.